It's been 2 months and it's developing roots. Now I can transplant it into soil. How do you care for rubber plants? How do you propagate rubber plants? How much should you water a rubber plant? How much sun does a rubber plant need? How big can a rubber plant get? I filled my pot 1/4 of the way up with soil. It's a self-watering pot. All I do is add this string on the bottom and then add my water down here, and it self-waters, which is good for this type of plant. I have my plant a little off-center because I'll be adding more plants to it. This little bit of soil is outdoor potting soil. I just use that. It helps to hold a little bit of moisture. And then here is some Miracle-Gro soil that I'm adding. Break the soil up a little bit. And continue adding. One thing I will do is I will saturate this really well. I still have another plant to add to it, and I'll show you that in a second. Taking a look here with some of my other plants, I actually just had one leaf and I was growing one as well, and you can see it's already developing a new one. I'll be adding that. I'm going to get this a little bit in to the ground. And then add more soil. Break that up a little bit, push it down firmly. Now that it's suited nicely, the last thing I'll do is, as it grows a little bit more and these old leaves will fall off over time, I will add a bit more soil so it can develop more roots, but at the moment, leave it as is. This is the mother plant. It sat about 6 feet tall, but now I chopped it pretty good. It's sitting with a spider plant and a dumb cane, and they're doing fine, and it already shot out a baby. So that's why I made my choice to actually cut this. And again, it's shooting out another baby. You really can't kill these. They're a really, really fun plant. What's a proper way to pot your plant? One thing I made sure to do, obviously I added my string on the bottom that would soak up the water, but I also added a coffee filter on the bottom. Look how big these holes are. That soil is just going to fall through over time and just clog up the bottom. By adding a coffee filter, it holds the soil in but allows the extra water to drain down. Make sure you do not throw away your water from your plants that you are propagating. This is really good water. If the plant is doing well in propagating and developing roots, you know the water's good. I am now going to use this water to water my plant before I go to a regular tap water. That's the water draining on the bottom. And to save water, I'm going to wash my hands while I'm watering the plant at the same time. I'm just not going to use dish soap. Just get the extra dirt off of my hands. Maybe I should have used gloves, but of course I forgot. Typical gardener, we don't use our gloves. And then I'll just saturate this a little bit more. Rubber plant. You really cannot overwater them, but how should you water them? You want the soil to be slightly damp, not saturated. They shouldn't sit in muddy water, but it should drain well, but keep them hydrated. They love water. But they can also go without water for a bit of time too, because of their thick, hardy leaves. They retain moisture in there as well. So my partner plants that I'm going to add to this are my arrowheads, which, yes, I propagated them in water too. This is the whole stem stock of it, and I ended up cutting it off from the bottom. It really got tall and lanky. I did not like that. So I stuck this whole thing in water, and within a few weeks it rooted, and it's actually shooting off a bunch of babies all over. Now, I'm not sure if I stick these under soil, if they will survive, but I'm more just looking at, keeping these nice leaves. And I'll be adding it to right here. Taking my poker from my garden, I'm just going to literally poke some holes. Three should be good. Let me set down there for a sec. Now, I could end up breaking these roots. I'm not too worried. This is a extremely hardy plant. You really can't kill it. But I'm going to try and get that down in there. And it'll develop more roots too. So I'm not entirely worried about it. Fit that down in there. It's a very lazy day today. It's yucky out, so I decided to do some indoor gardening instead. Let's see, that one can fit right here. Oops, I think I broke a root, but that's okay. It'll survive. Use my poker a little bit more to help create some room. There we go. Probably should have been using that a little bit more from the beginning and getting those roots down there more. I have one more I think I can fit. I'm going to keep it right at the edge. Fit it down in there. And then again, I can always add a little bit of soil too. But at the moment, I think that's pretty good. Like I said before, because the holes are so big on the bottom, oh, this is heavy now. I want to show you how much or how quickly this drained. Now call me crazy, but I'm literally going to water it one more time to make sure any of that dry soil is now saturated. But it will drain on the bottom, so it won't develop root rot. A little bit over here. And then that'll help settle down the roots for my arrowhead as well. Plant. Oh, I just bumped that, but I think it should be fine. And let that all drain down to the bottom. Can hear it draining now. I'll let this sit in my sink for about an hour just to get all that draining out. And if there really is an abundance of water on the bottom, I will take some of that out, but for the most part, it's meant to feed the plant. And then I'll keep this in a nice, try and get it in a sunny spot. Right now it's wintertime and the sun isn't exactly coming to my windows perfectly, but I get about maybe 2 hours of direct sun through one of my windows, and then the rest of it is indirect light. What kind of light does a rubber plant need? They do pretty well anywhere. They can be in indirect light, direct light. Just don't burn them with the sun. Trying to keep them like if you're going to keep them outside, keep them shaded indirect. Or they could just be in regular office lighting as well. They'll do fine.